Hi, I'm Doug Selwyn, President of the Board of Local Access. Local Access began 3,000 miles from here in Washington State in the early 1990s. Jan Mayer and I and two colleagues formed Local Access as an organization dedicated to supporting the arts and education through the arts. And we carried out performances, school residencies, professional development with schools and other organizations. We held workshops and we conducted research with particular attention towards finding and communicating stories from underrepresented communities. Jan and I moved to upstate New York and lived there for 10 years near the Canadian border, where it was very cold. Local Access went into hibernation for those 10 years. We moved to the Greenfield area 5 years ago and have awakened the organization, now called Local Access to Valley Arts, with the same intention to engage with the entire community in exploring and communicating through the arts.
Exploring and creating histories ourselves, Echo Greenfield, grew out of three foundational premises. 1, we are surrounded and influenced by histories that are in plain sight. 2, we are surrounded and influenced by histories that have disappeared from easy view, but are important and crucial in our understanding ourselves and our communities. 3, we are each of us active agents, whether we think of ourselves this way or not, of creating the histories of our communities. We invite everyone with a connection to Greenfield and the surrounding area to find themselves in this project, whether it be as a resource to others, a researcher, a recorder of stories, a teller of their own stories, or a mix of any and all of these. In June and July, there will be a combination of in-person activities at the Lava Center, talks by people with particular knowledge and expertise, and brief in-person coaching sessions during our Saturday salon and Wednesday gallery hours. We'll video key elements of these events too, so that anyone who is interested but can't make it in person can go to our new website, echogreenfield.org, to watch and download resource materials. The sessions will be partly informational about the resources in our extended community that can help us dig into questions we have, partly ways to think about our own lives as histories that help shape our community, and partly focused on the varieties of creative ways we can present the results of our inquiries. The full calendar will be posted on Lava's Facebook page and here on the new Echo Greenfield website, echogreenfield.org again. By fall, the website will shift focus to featuring the creative and critical responses of project participants to what they've learned in the course of their research. What we're looking for right now is interested people of all ages to get involved. Come to our talks and hands-on activities. Check out our Echo Greenfield website, our community bulletin board there, where you can say what you're curious about, see what questions others are asking, and if you know something interesting about the history of this area that you are willing to share with others, tell them a bit about it. Let us know if you'd like someone from the project team to visit your group, organization, or classroom to talk about Echo Greenfield. Let's dig into the rich, complex histories of where we live and weave our stories together in community.
The idea of history, that there is a story of what has happened, has been taught as if there is one and only one way to view it. Our textbooks and history classes have reinforced this notion by only sharing one version of the events the writers and textbook companies have chosen to share. But we know that is at best an incomplete telling of what has happened, much less why it happened. We know that our history books, we rarely have heard from people who were poor or working class, from women, from young people, from people of color, from people like us, from our neighbors and friends. U.S. history is really the history of wealthy European Americans and focuses on wars, on presidents, on captains of industry, leaving those of us who have experienced their decisions and actions mostly as victims, voiceless. That gives us a very incomplete understanding of why things are the way they are. The same is true for us here in the Connecticut River Valley, and most particularly here in Greenfield. We know some stories from some particular points of view and have more to learn from those voices we've not heard from or have not thought to ask about. Echo Greenfield is about having our community cooperate and participate in researching our common and uncommon histories, recognizing that even this step is an action that will change the future history of Greenfield, because we are the history makers of today, much as those who came before, who were simply living their lives, are now who we look to see our history. We're asking questions about whose stories we know, whose stories we don't know, and whose stories we've been prevented from knowing. We are learning to look for clues as to our history, from street signs and the names of buildings and neighborhoods to the architecture of the town, the role that rivers have played in the town, the mills, of course, and those who worked in them or were not allowed to work in them. Stories of those who history rarely records, as those mentioned above, and maybe thinking about the future we want and what that might mean for our actions today.
So why do this project? History's not always the subject that people believe they gravitate towards, but once they get involved with the stories behind something they care about, they get fascinated. History is a fun and exciting and powerful community building tool when it's presented in a way that relates to a given audience. It's so fun to watch strangers get excited about the sharing of stories when they're gathered around the postcards. We've already had a couple of times where people have just jumped into the storytelling. Greenfield and the surrounding area are chock full of histories that aren't necessarily the ones most widely known, and certainly not the ones taught in school. But we are rich in interesting historical facts between our strong indigenous history, our industrial history, the abundance of rivers and fertile soil, and music and dance. Franklin County has been and continues to be fertile. Our goal is to create a resource that makes these histories available to everyone. We want to make it interesting to people and to include those usually not heard from to help us build our knowledge base. Ultimately, we are building community, which is part of our mission. Whether we make community quilt squares or encourage people to write stories, we will gather to share these stories and ask questions and find resources to answer them. This alone is enough reason to do this project. Not often enough do we have opportunities in life to mix up generations. A possibility for this project is to create times when generations can interact with each other. We foresee this event that adults can gather children's perspectives on their histories. Often children are asked to interview adults, but it's also possible to give voice to the children's lens. Different activities will give adults of many ages and children a chance to come together around common interests and questions and explore together. Based on inquiry research methods and aimed at bringing rarely heard voices to a common table, we hope to explore the rich histories of our shared communities and be exposed to each other's histories and part of the common history, adding that extra texture and detail to the whole. It is the mission of the Lava Center to provide support, resources, and space for creative processes to occur. ECHO is all about doing this. Lava has been providing activities to do this, whether in playwriting or filmmaking or painting. ECHO is continuing the process through a new venue, Histories. We hope to engage normally unheard voices, researching groups that aren't usually at the table. These voices will expand our knowledge of histories, add to the texture of often one-sided stories, and with any luck help to encourage those groups to come and speak more often. At the end of the project, we hope to have a website full of history and activities that provides anyone who wants to access a filled database and guide to inquiry-based research, storytelling, and looking at all of it from a diverse range of perspectives. It will also give Lava Center the start of a website to support further projects in the humanities. Our interest in this project and in the tools and skills we use is lifelong, and we hope to continue to produce a place where investigation into many questions can occur. We are all excited about this project and are hoping people will join us and add their histories and their energy to the making of this project.
Hi, I'm Vanessa. I am the manager of the Lava Center. I'm also a web designer. I've been building websites for 25 years altogether. And so I bring that expertise to this project. I'm going to be building the website for Echo Greenfield. It is currently live at echogreenfield.org. There's not much there now, but there will be. We're going to keep adding to it. I build websites that look nice, but that are also well organized and easily navigable on any device. So the website will be accessible wherever you are, whenever you are. We plan to have it up in perpetuity for a long time. It will be a fun, informative, and interactive website. And again, as of right now, it's still in its very early stages, but there are things to do on it already, so please check it out, echogreenfield.org.